10 times getting pierced went terribly wrong. Have you ever wanted to get a piercing? You probably have. You might think it's an easy procedure, but after the stories we're about to tell you, you'll never think about getting a piercing ever. In today's video, we'll be going over 10 times getting pierced went terribly wrong. Prepare to be scared forever. However, before we start, make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Now, let's begin. Number 1. The worst birthday present. According to Amanda Taylor's family, she wanted a tongue piercing so that she could look like her favorite pop star, Pink. Her family was ready to pay for her piercing as it was her birthday, but it turned out to be the worst birthday present ever because Amanda died from blood poisoning 2 days later. Her tongue became swollen and she came with a sore throat to the doctors. The doctors prescribed penicillin because they thought she had tonsillitis, but she came back home and died from septicemia and acute tonsillitis. It turned out the jewelry shop she got her piercing done wasn't the most hygienic. Amanda died because the people gave her a dirty and infected with bacteria piercing. Number 2. Hole in the cheek. Tammy Caulfield almost bled to death because she got her cheeks pierced. She was rushed to the hospital after collapsing on the pavement and choking on her own blood. When the doctors finally saved her life, they told her that she ruptured an artery in her face due to a cheek piercing. She lost 4 pints of blood. Normally, a person has 8 pints present in their body, meaning she lost over half of her blood through a hole in her cheek. Now, would you dare to get your cheek pierced knowing there's a possibility you could rupture an artery and bleed to death? Number 3. Losing an ear. Bianca Hart, an 18-year-old, got a stud put in the top of her ear. A few days later, she felt severe pain in the area where she had gotten her piercing. Clearly, it had become infected. She went to get her stud replaced by a small silver bar, but it didn't make any difference. Soon, she was taken to the hospital. The doctors cut her ear open to remove the infection, but the infection had been wreaking devastation for the past 2 weeks. It had eaten most of the cartilage on Bianca's ear. Then they had to cut the top part of her ear and put her own morphine for a week and ease the pain. She got the infection taken care of, but she was only left with part of the ear for the rest of her life. Number 4. The wrong nipple. Nika Belza spent $22,000 on her breast implants. She later got them pierced. However, it turned out to be a bad decision because her piercing brought her face to face with death. A few weeks after Nikki got her piercing, she accidentally ripped the bar out of it. Pain on her left side of the chest became so unbearable that she collapsed at work, and she was immediately taken to the hospital. The doctors came to know that a lot of factors were at play here. They told her that she got streptococcal A from her husband, but what should have been a normal bacterial infection triggered sepsis. Because she ripped out her piercing, the sepsis spread throughout her breast and ravaged her tissue out. The sepsis ate her flesh out, which led the doctors to the point where they removed her implant, leaving her with 32 triple D on one side and nothing on the other side. Number 5. Ear growths. Jennifer from Philadelphia, an 18-year-old, just like all other teenagers in America, got her ears pierced, which is something normal, but guess what happened? After she got her piercing done, her ears got highly infected, and she was left with huge and ugly, terrifying growths protruding from the sides of her head. These growths gave her severe headaches and caused her to suffer from vertigo, aka severe dizziness. She got 2 protrudes, one on either side. When she went to the hospital, the doctors gave up, so she went to a specialist, Dr. Sandra Lee. Sandra was able to diagnose Jennifer with severe keloids, a type of scarring due to skin damage. The piercing on her ear scarred over, and those scars continued to grow out of control. The only way to get rid of them was surgery, and the surgery was not simple either. The doctors had to remove a large amount of skin tissue and then use skin grafting to reshape her ears so that she didn't look like a deformed elf. Also, this was not a cure for keloids, so she had to continue with a course of radiotherapy. The only good news is that she got rid of protrudes and severe headaches. Number 6. Wheelchair for life. Lane Diaz, who got her nose pierced in July of 2018 just because all her friends got it pierced and is now stuck in a wheelchair. Sadly, she will never walk again, just because she wanted a small metal piece stuck in her nose. The piercing bled and got a little swollen, but she thought it was normal. Then she saw a spot on her nose like a big red spot, as red as Santa's heart. She caught a fever, which was followed by severe pain in her legs. Things got a lot worse as she felt numbness in her whole body to the point where she could not feel her legs anymore. She consulted several doctors who were struggling very hard to make a proper diagnosis. Soon they discovered the culprit. It turned out to be the bacteria Staphylococcus aureus, and they were finally able to figure out what was going on. Things got really worse as her MRI showed 500 millimeters of pus compressing 3 of her vertebrae on her spinal cord. She was paralyzed. She underwent surgery and was able to stop the infection from spreading, but she lost her legs and got a wheelchair for life. Number 7, DIY gone wrong. Next up, we have a schoolgirl from Brazil who died from an infection after a botched DIY eyebrow piercing. She worked up the courage to give herself a piercing, but as she was not a professional, naturally things went terribly wrong. She did it herself because she knew her parents were never going to allow her. She pushed a needle in her eyebrow, which gave her an infection. Her eyebrows started to swell, but by the time she decided to seek medical attention, it was too late. Number 8, playground piercing. Teenagers on school playgrounds have a craze of getting their piercings done, and of course, they got this craze from none other than TikTok. These kids can give themselves fake body piercing with magnetic ball bearings. Instead of getting the look they wanted, many of the teenagers ended up swallowing the ball bearings, causing bowel perforations and intestinal blockage. 3 children nearly died from attempting their own tongue piercing. All 3 kids somehow managed to survive, but the doctors are warning parents that the next kid may not be so fortunate. Number 9, nightmare at Claire's. Lily, a 6-year-old child, wanting to get her piercing done because all of her friends had gotten it. Lily's mother got her piercing done when she was a child, so she took her child to Claire's. She got her piercing done, but a few weeks later, her earrings refused to come off. Her mother had been cleaning her ear with liquid, but it still wasn't coming off, so she took her to the doctor. They found out that the earrings had embedded themselves in her scalpel. The doctors took the earrings out by performing surgery. She was finally safe and discharged, but got traumatized and was no longer interested in getting anything pierced because, let's face it, getting your first piercing carved out of your ear on an operating table would take anyone off the trend. Number 10, liver failure. A woman from Queens in New York City decided to get a small diamond nose ring as a gift for herself. Soon she was rushed to the hospital barely alive. She lost her appetite in the week following the small diamond stud just over her left nostril. Shortly after, she felt pain in her stomach, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, she decided not to go to the hospital. She waited until she felt she was going to die and took her to the emergency room. By that time, her liver had already begun to fail. She was put into a medically induced coma and diagnosed with fulminant liver failure. When Diana woke up, doctors told her that due to extreme liver failure, they had to give her a liver transplant, which saved her life. She thought she had stomach flu, but a small diamond nose ring had, in fact, cost her liver. And that's a wrap for the video. Which of these incidents scared you the most? Will you still be getting a piercing? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Make sure to leave a like and tune in for more videos. Bye now.